And welcome back to another episode of JP and the Beanstalk.
Here we are. There's a good energy in the gym. And wherever we are. All the time. Flex it. Flex that Marvel tank.
All the time.
Let the guns flow.
I know. It just...
Happy for you with that Marvel tank. That's great.
No sleeve summer.
Sure.
No sleeve summer.
No need.
Catch on that bandwagon. No sleeve summer.
No need. What was it? Has it been like within the last 6 years or so that tank tops became a acceptable bit of outerwear for the male gender? And I think that's a good thing. It's great. I'm glad they're in.
6 years?
It hasn't been that long. Maybe I'm dating myself a little bit. Maybe it's been more like 10. It may have been a little piece. It's been long enough where...
It's like, wow.
Yeah. There was a time where it just wasn't okay, but now it is.
That makes sense.
Yeah. It's better, I'll say
it
this.
It makes you think some things.
It's better than the homemade cutoff, right? Where you got the T-shirt, and then you're just taking the scissors and trimming it up.
Right.
Because folks got carried away with that. There was a thin layer of cloth between person and in the skin. Not enough. Tank top, I think, has kind of brought a little welcome uniformity, a little class to the gun show. Taking it from the Wild West, brought it into the 21st century a little bit, and that's
Makes
okay.
Sense.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
That's okay. Not a bad thing at all. Not a bad thing at all. Well, hey, it's been a little bit per usual. We had those, those sick youths that tend to
they always
bless
pop
them.
up, don't they?
They can interfere with things a bit, not intentionally, but they do. They just do. But we're healthy. We're back.
That's
it's
what
great.
Matters.
And we just watched the last episode of Obi-Wan. Whew. So I think we might talk about that maybe forever.
Forever.
Yeah.
I think that's the only logical solution.
Yep. Forever. Father's Day has come and gone. Did you do anything special for your dad, Riley?
I gave him a phone call.
Okay.
And then
that's the gift that keeps on giving.
And then we played Call of Duty.
Come on.
Together for like 4 hours.
Wow.
Or maybe not 4 hours.
4 hours or so?
Yeah, about
Quality
3 or
time.
4 hours,
okay.
yes. And we did very well together. And that's how we bond.
That's fantastic.
Especially when you're in Florida. You jerkwad.
Happy for
Dad.
you. Really happy for your dad that he's in Florida. Pretty jealous. I took my dad to the College World Series over in Omaha. Your Boomer Sooners, BT Dubs, they're in the finals. Oh, that's right. The Texas Longhorns went a swift 0-2 and were immediately eliminated.
Horns down, baby.
First team out. So
Horns down.
Pretty good time to be a Sooner fan. The Sooner women won the softball College World Series. Sooner men are going to get a chance to play for the Natty in the baseball College World Series. That's impressive.
Dude, one of my top 3 mottos in life. Horns down.
As it should be.
That's in the top 3.
As it should be. I do got to give a shout out for Father's Day. I received a gift that is forthcoming. My wife, credit to her, she knows me. She went and bought me tickets to a Baltimore Orioles game up in the Twin Cities when they come visiting the old Twinkies. And I get to go with my bud Eric. Eric is a Twins fan, and Eric is a faithful listener to JP and the Beans. So shout out to you, Herd. Can't wait. That's coming up. Not this upcoming Saturday, but the following. What a trip. What a time that will be. We'll see if we make it back.
That'll be fun.
Don't. Yeah, should be great. So good Father's Day.
That is
overall.
A good Father's
Day. Really, really well-rounded. Really beefy. Really great. What do you think your dad, what would his ultimate Father's Day experience be? Like if you could be like, Dad, hey, expense is not an issue. You could give your dad a Father's Day experience. It's got to include you.
Right.
What would it be?
Oh, I would probably... Okay. I'm back and forth, but probably the best thing I could do is take him to Michigan, Ohio State in the big house.
Nice.
That's probably the best thing I could do. And then obviously Michigan winning.
Correct.
If I take him all that way and they lose, then it's just...
Kind of soils the experience a bit.
Rough time.
Yep.
So,
not ideal.
That would probably be his ideal Father's Day.
Yep. That's
Rooting
great.
for the Wolverines in the big house. So,
Love that. Very thoughtful of you.
Yes.
Yeah. That's great.
Someday, maybe.
That's great.
But.
Well, speaking of fathers, Anakin Skywalker is a father.
Terrible one.
Not the best.
Not a great one.
Not the best. Don't think he
Maybe
ever
a dark
had
one.
don't think he ever was celebrated, nor should he have been.
I hated it too.
As as a dad. Tough break for Anakin. But, he was in this show, the old Obi-Wan show that we just wrapped up. Episode 6 just dropped today. And so we're going to spend the bulk, if not the entirety of this episode, breaking down the episodes that we have not yet had an opportunity to discuss on this pod. So we're going from 3 all the way through 6. That's a salty 4 episodes altogether that we get to discuss. I am very excited about that.
Because normally we just do 2 episodes at a time.
That's right. So we're double dipping. This is the twist cone episode. You're not just getting vanilla. You're not just getting chocolate. You're getting both.
And now I want ice cream.
How can you not? Okay, so we just saw episode 6. That's really fresh. Here's what I want to do.
Okay.
All right?
Yep, I'm with you.
I want some really general, not deep, but really general, your overall response to the show as a whole. Okay?
Okay.
And then we're going to dive in episode per episode. And then we'll pull that lens back again and do a deeper dive into overall how we felt. But just initially, real quick, about 30-second version. What'd you think of the show?
Honestly, I think episode 6 makes it all worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
Puts a nice little bow.
Yep.
Gets the meat in there.
Yep.
Probably the best lightsaber fight we've had in 15 years.
It's up there.
Suck it sequels. And especially to you, Ryan Johnson, who thought it was a good idea to not have lightsabers clash in a Star Wars movie. So I really hope you don't get your trilogy. From the bottom of my heart, I hope you don't get it.
Here's what I love.
Because of that atrocity.
We are on opposite ends of that. I would love a Ryan Johnson trilogy. I would.
I mean, as long as he's not doing Jedis and Siths. If he wants to do some weird, hey, the rebels are here, ta-da, then he can do that. I don't care.
Ryan, you keep being you. Don't let the haters get you down, buddy. Don't let the haters get you down. You stay strong.
Don't do a Jedi Sith movie.
You do whatever you want.
You don't deserve it.
You do whatever you want.
No,
Blank check.
You
Blank
lost
check.
it. You want to know who else lost it? And for good things is the Game of Thrones writers. You want to know why? Because they blew it on the rest of Game of Thrones.
Big shame. Big shame. Yeah, they won't be getting any Star Wars content.
The fact that you laid that egg of an episode 8, no, you don't get a trilogy out of that. Punish the man. Take it away. I'm way more excited about Taika's Star Wars movie.
I feel a little bit of the dark side in you right now. I feel like there's a little bit of that bitterness where you're kind of like Anakin coming home like, my mom just got killed by Sand people, and instead of finding a peaceful way to process that, I feel like you're ready to go, whoop some Tuskens.
Oh, I was going to say kill kids, but yeah. That's
no, not better. That. Don't do that. You're not there yet. You're trending that direction. You're trending that direction.
Sorry.
So overall, you liked it. Overall, you're saying, hey,
look,
a fan.
I love Ewan McGregor.
Yes.
To the day I die. He has my full heart. So yeah, if he wants to keep doing what he just did, fantastic. We saw Obi-Wan come back into his prime. He actually progressed as a character in this entire show, which I got a little worried might not happen. There was a genuinely good character progression.
Yeah.
We got Qui-Gon. A little glimpse of his ghostliness.
We'll take it.
Thank you.
We'll take it.
Now I feel like if we ever see Obi-Wan if we ever see Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan again, we're getting Obi-Wan. We're not getting old, crinkly Ben. We're getting Obi-Wan.
It's great.
So it was good. Yeah, I liked it.
Okay, so you went past 30 seconds. We'll allow it.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Well,
it's okay. We went off a couple of rabbit trails.
We did veer off just
a bit. I chose to pick the bone with Ryan.
I got upset.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Bad friend.
Sorry too.
Bad friend. Okay, we'll be okay. I liked it a lot. I really liked it a lot. And my expectations coming in were sky high. I still don't know, just because I'm processing, did it meet that level of expectation? Probably not. That probably would have had to have been one of the best shows I've ever seen. But it was really good. It was really solid. I think there are plenty of nits to pick. But overall, it was really doggone good. So I enjoyed spending my time watching each one of those 6 episodes. And as you said, episode 6 really tied it off very, very nicely. We got the character progression that we must have. And so a lot of good things to discuss, but overall, well done. Kudos.
And real quick, I don't think it's fair to hold it to a crazy standard going in.
Agreed.
Like, that's
Agreed.
unfair.
Totally
Like,
agree. You can't be satisfied if that's the case.
Right.
Like, you're that Alabama fan that says, hey, we got to go undefeated to win the national championship in order to just be satisfied. You can't even be happy. That's just so you're not
Right.
upset.
Right.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like, that's why just when it comes to Marvel or anything like this, you just go in with 0 expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, when you are bummed out, you're really bummed out.
You know you just saw Morbius.
Right. Or Kraven the Hunter, which news has revealed that he's an animal lover in this movie.
Cool.
So now I will be burning Sony Studios to the ground. So
Great.
I just need the address.
You just got to follow through. I'll get you the gas and the matches.
And the P.O. box.
Yep.
And
Done. Done. Love it. All right. So let's dive in to the episodes. We'll come back to the finale once we actually wrap up episode 6. So episode 2, where we left off, saw us with Obi-Wan dealing with the reveal for him that, hey, BT dubs, Anakin is alive. Our girl Reva had just sabered the Grand Inquisitor.
through
Apparently.
one of the 2 stomachs.
Right, one of the 2, like the cow man. That's the only way I can rationalize that, is he's a cow. He has multiple stomachs.
Makes
so,
sense.
Okay.
He does look kind of like a cow. So
Yeah, great for him, I guess. Good for you, bud. He bounced back as expected. And so then we transition into episode 3, and Obi-Wan's dealing with the repercussions of that knowledge, right, of timeout. I thought that part of my past was literally dead, only to find out that one of his dear friends, his former Padawan, and the source of so much of his anguish and now exile, not dead, very much alive, and very much hunting after him. I know we touched on this a little bit in the previous pod, but I just have to repeat what we said before. I loved that they were that explicit with the fact that Obi-Wan was not aware that Anakin was alive. That was a very strong move by this show to remind us, the audience, that even though we're in on the joke, so to speak, we have that knowledge, that insider info. Obi didn't, and that was really well executed at the end of episode 2. So, again, just another hearty well done from me to you, dear showrunner. So episode 3, Obi-Wan and Leia on the run, okay, needing a little help. So they come into contact with some, I'm going to call them rebel forerunners. Like, the rebellion is not a thing at this stage, not officially anyhow, but there are individuals that are clearly at work against the Empire, trying to work against it. What did you think of the dynamic in episode 3 between Obi-Wan and Leia? Like, Obi-Wan is still very much in PTSD Obi-Wan mode. Leia is still kind of leading the charge. How'd that strike you?
it felt better just because, you didn't have Leia being like, who are you? Get away from me. No, so it was like...
Flea had been killed in episode 2.
Right, and then she can kind of tell that she knows a lot more, that he knows a lot more than he's leading on.
Sure.
So it's kind of cool to see, like just having Obi-Wan be like, I see a lot of Padme in her. I thought was really cool. To
Yes.
just, acknowledge the fact that Leia and Padme are very, very similar.
Right.
So I think honoring the past was really executed well here.
Yeah, the kind of the emotional callbacks to Padme were unexpected, but really strong.
She feels more like a 10-year-old. So, and, we didn't have to worry about her running away and not getting caught by grown adults. So I'd say they end up bonding really well throughout the show. I think that really develops quite nicely.
Yep.
And then, because then she gets captured at the end of the episode.
Yeah, that's
And he's like, I gotta go get her.
I feel like if I can pick a nit, I think there's some missed opportunity in this show in terms of really fleshing out the origins of the rebellion. It didn't feel like that was done at a particularly high level to me.
Right, but I also don't think that was the intent.
Agreed.
I think they're saving...
I'm being a little probably picky, very much nitpicky, but I would have liked to have seen some of that
I think
action.
Andor will be what that is. I think Andor is
Sure.
where you will see the birth of the rebellion
Right.
actually start to form.
Right. Excuse me. So in this episode, Tala comes into play. And what I did like about her character that we learned in episodes 3 and then especially in episode 4 was that she wasn't always a double agent. Her origin was actually as a agent of the Empire. I thought that was a good twist, right? She wasn't someone that came into the Imperial forces for the express purpose of the subterfuge of trying to become a spy for the early stages of the rebellion, but rather she was a part of the Empire, part of that Imperial force, drinking the Kool-Aid, so to speak, and and then ended up turning in favor, a lot of the Kool-Aid in favor of the fledgling rebellion. I gotta say, like again, the young gal that played Leia, there was not a time that she was on screen that I thought, boy, she's out of her league here or overmatched. Like that was well cast and well executed on her part.
Her and that lady that was bad than good are probably the two best actresses in this show.
Yep.
And the kid might take it away. And like, I was way more interested in young Leia than I was in Reva.
Yep.
Hands down.
Yep.
So, props to the little 10-year-old girl, Vivian. Good job, Viv.
Way to go, Viv. Yeah, a lot of Reva in this episode. And to your point that you made on our previous pod, just the one tone, right? One tone. And I gotta say this, like that's not that actress's fault. That was really, frankly,
the writing,
mediocre writing. Like they just didn't give her character much to do other than show up
and cry
and be pissed,
be angry.
I think they would have perhaps, and we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here, done better to reveal her origin much earlier. Right. Don't wait till episode 5. Why not do it in episode 3 so we can have a stronger...
Because everyone doesn't like the character until that, and then you're like, oh.
Right, then there's some reason to empathize and attach. But anyway, we'll get into that a little bit later. Big set piece for episode 3, of course, was Darth Vader coming down, wreaking havoc in the town, and Obi-Wan trying to face him up. Obi-Wan, I gotta say, he used the lightsaber. It was episode 3, and the saber got lit, and I was super skeptical on that front. I was putting all my chips on the table saying, nope, there's no way that saber's coming out till episode 5 at the earliest, and most likely episode 6. And I was off by a good 2 to 3 episodes. So that was a great, pleasant surprise.
It was a good feeling.
But
for you to be wrong.
Darth Vader wipes the sandy floor with Obi-Wan. I mean, it's not even that close.
No.
It's not even that close. It's one of those contests where, hey, both teams scored, right? But the team that lost, it's as if they scored in the negative integers. They didn't get any points, really. It was more of a, hey, the points are there because you participated, but you couldn't have a wide enough gap in the scoring margin to reflect how one-sided this battle actually was. Loved how just transparently powerful Darth Vader was. Like he's using the Force to choke out citizens in the city just because, by the way.
It was genuinely one of the coolest Vader scenes.
It was great.
He's just like,
it was great. I'm glad there wasn't any mess around. It was just Vader unleashed, right? Full-fledged, full force Vader. Didn't mean to say full force there, but nonetheless, it slipped out. So, yep, it happened. I was really impacted by that scene. Like, that was tough, watching Obi-Wan just get smoked. That wasn't fun at all.
It was sad.
It was very sad. And when Vader lights up the hot coals to drag him through the fire.
That was rough and super petty. Vader was waiting.
Petty guy.
Vader was waiting for that day. That's probably what fueled half of the dark side of the Force for him. He's like, I need to burn him.
Yep.
Which is insane. But no, Vader was so good in that episode. It really showed off his strength as like just as a Sith.
Right.
Like it's just amazing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, he was formidable to say the least. Probably the biggest nit that I could pick is that for as powerful, for as all-encompassingly awesome as he was and is as a just force, again, I can't get away from the word force. It's just going to keep coming. It's just going to keep happening. I thought the manner in which Tala was able to save Obi-Wan was just a little too easy. It's like, if Vader really wanted to stop him there, is it really going to be, smoke that stops him, that gets in his way? I understand. The story has to go on, but it felt so transparently like a plot device and less like a well-thought-out way of, okay, how does Obi-Wan get out of this?
See, part of me feels like Vader just let him.
Yep.
Let him go.
I would have liked that to have been more
when he's
obvious.
at his full power.
Sure.
Because it's not going to... This is nothing to me. This is like taking out an old dog because he's seen everything. It's his time to go.
Yeah, and I can get on board with that. I just didn't think if that was the intent that it was explicitly stated.
Right, and I'm with you on that.
So
it should have been more like...
I mean, he's so overpowering that, again, for the old, the classic, take your pick, hero shoots the gas tank and it explodes, ball of fire, and all of a sudden the hero escapes. It was that move. So I was just a little, I was whelmed by that. Yet
that guy pulled an entire plane down by his hand.
Correct. He can't just cast the steam to the side and be like, I'm good here.
Look, we'll go into this towards the end, but the dark side was a lot really neutered for plot's sake.
Sure.
Plot armor was strong. In this one.
Yep. Nicely done.
Star Wars reference. Yes.
There you go. All right, so there's episode 3. So episode 4, episode 3 overall, really strong episode, right? We got a lot of Vader. That was outstanding.
And beautifully well done.
Yes. It was great. Get him OP'd. Let's show him with all that power. That's outstanding. Episode 4, by far the most brief episode of this entire series. And I think between us, and I'd expect others, probably the weakest overall. This is where we were expecting the Obi-Wan equivalent of the Rocky montage, where he's doing force push-ups.
Right.
He's getting himself into shape. He's using Leia as his Adrian inspiration.
Leia.
Leia's been captured by Reva.
Right.
Obi-Wan says, hey, we got to rescue her. Okay. So he sneaks into the allegedly invincible lair. Probably too easily. But it's episode 4, so it has to happen. And he busts Leia out. And then Reva here, has the interrogation with Leia that was just... That was probably the most cringe-worthy set of scenes in the entire show. It just felt forced. It didn't feel natural whatsoever. Just wasn't a very strong pairing or setting. It just, the whole scene to me felt very, very awkward.
Like, you can't intimidate a 10-year-old.
No.
I don't believe that. Doesn't make sense. And then you put her in a torture chamber. You're going to torture her? She's 10, dude. I don't know. What? You got outsmarted by a 10-year-old kid. That's embarrassing.
Yeah. And again, do you want to try and play the card of, well, that was her plan all along because she put the tracker on the droid? Okay. If that's really the case, we need more than the 30-minute episode and the exposition that we received in that episode. It needs to be more obvious. Episode 4 was by far the weakest piece of storytelling in the entire show.
In my personal opinion, that is what we in modern times call an ass pull.
Mm-hmm.
She pulled that out of her tuchus. I was like, I planted the thingy. I planned it. Don't kill me, please. That's what she did.
Yeah.
But
and Obi-Wan got his power, like,
it wasn't
restored.
Back full, but it was like...
It was strong enough that it was there was not a progression there. It was... Right. He went from barely being able to hold his lightsaber upright to all of a sudden he's able to hold off an entire body of water that wants to compress this tiny glass tube. There was just not enough of a progression. Like, beginning of the episode, right, it shows Obi-Wan trying to flex a little bit, trying to get the Force to respond, and he can't get it to respond in any meaningful way. So the fact that it responded so thoroughly to him without any point between what we saw at the beginning of the episode and that moment, I was bummed by that. I was really hoping for some kind of a progression, training montage. Didn't get that.
Right. And
and not a lot of Vader in this episode either, which after episode 3, which was thick with Vader.
You want more Vader.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And for me in this episode, and it kind of just leads on to the rest of it, it was like, why did you have the rest of the Inquisitors there? Mm-hmm. They didn't do anything.
Great point.
The way they were introduced in the first 2 episodes, they're like, oh, these guys are going to have a presence. And part 4, I'm like, oh, maybe they're actually going to go up and try to fight Obi-Wan or something. Nothing. And then they don't show up for episode 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So it's like, why? What was the point of having all of them there? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yep.
Them showing all the dead Jedi, that was never brought up again. Why'd you show that? That makes no sense to me.
Right.
Maybe just to tap into his PTSD some more. But even then, like, it was really confusing that they would just be like, because it's hinted at like it's going to be a big deal. Nothing. Mm-hmm. And then finally I have to point out, I have not played this game, but Chance pointed this out to me.
Sure.
That whole episode played very, very similar to the Fallen Order game.
Gotcha.
He said there's a mission that's pretty much almost exactly like that episode.
Fascinating. Okay.
So, I don't know if they're like, oh, this worked really well in game, let's bring it back.
Right. Yeah, and I think the most disappointing part about that episode, again, is when it's that short of an episode, there's so much room for the fleshing out of those thin plot points where it's like, just take another overall 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and now you've got something that feels a lot more fully baked than that particular episode. Right. Really, all that happened was Obi-Wan got back together with Leia, which, okay, that was to be expected, and now they've got a way, from a plot perspective, to track the whereabouts of Obi-Wan and Leia so that we can get closer and closer to the inevitable rematch of Obi-Wan and Vader. So, not a lot of positives out of episode 3. And to your point, thank you, 4. The Inquisitors were such a big part of that first episode, pretty decent chunk in that second episode. It was a bummer to see them sidelined for the rest of the show.
I mean,
they're so insignificant.
And when they bring the Grand Inquisitor back for that big reveal at the end of episode 5, what they bring him back for? Just to show him trying to reason with Vader? That was it. We didn't get him back after that. So it just felt really confusing on what their whole purpose was.
Right. So there's episode 4. Episode 5, again, Obi-Wan, Leia, reunited, and it feels so good. You got to go there.
Feels so good.
They're on their way to what they hope is freedom. Of course, it's not going to be because they're being tracked. Okay, so there's one to Inquisitor Reva. Good for you, dear. And we get, I think, a very solid episode here with episode number 5. We get the origin of Reva. Helps to flesh out her character a lot. It comes at the expense, I'm going to say, of having to see our guy Anakin again in the Jedi Temple just slaughtering kids. Like, that's tough. That's tough.
Favorite part of the movie. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Did I say that out loud?
What?
Wait a minute.
Who wants to do that?
I mean, I'm trying to remember back to episode 3, and I don't remember them showing any of that. And not that they went over the top here in this episode whatsoever, but it was impactful, and it was just a really, just an unfortunate reminder of how evil Darth Vader is.
Right.
Right. Like, for all the hope that Obi-Wan has that his good buddy Anakin is still somewhere inside that crusty shell. Not the case. Not the case. That's just a thoroughly bad dude.
Right.
Makes it that much more remarkable, come to think of it, that Luke, in the distance of episode 6, is able to pull some kind of good out of this guy, because I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing a lot of bad dude.
And even when we get to episode 6, it pretty much, he's like, yeah, Anakin's not in here, dude.
Yeah.
This is who I am now.
Yeah. So, anywho, episode 5, Reva and her forces come down to the base where Obi-Wan and Leia are hiding out.
Cool lady dies.
Yep.
Called
Tali goes
that.
down. But what a great way to go, by the way.
Blowing up
You'll
a
thermal
bunch of
detonator,
people.
taking a bunch of fools out with you. Obi-Wan flexing a little bit more here, right? He's got his force powers back. So he's taking down, stormtroopers left and right. That was a lot of fun to watch. He's giving Reva a hard time. They never actually themselves got to clash, Obi-Wan and Reva. That would have been, I think, pretty worthwhile to watch Obi-Wan.
Especially because in the first couple episodes, they're like, she's obsessed with Obi-Wan. And they never really still go into why she was obsessed with getting Obi-Wan. I'm assuming it's because she wanted to use him to get to Vader.
Right. I think that was
But it was never explained that way.
I think they tried to go for that in this episode when Obi-Wan and Reva are having that dialogue on the opposite sides of the door. I think that was what Obi-Wan was getting at with that conversation. Which I don't know how much that really grabbed me, as far as Reva's playing the long game here. Eventually she's going to take a saber to Vader. Like, that's her goal. Like, here's what doesn't make sense about that to me. She is around Darth Vader often enough where she doesn't need to create a different opportunity to be close enough to saber the guy, right? Like, if that's her move, lightsaber to Vader, help me understand, like, how is this the best way to get to that point?
The only thing I could think of is because Obi-Wan is a big enough distraction for Vader for him for him to drop his guard long enough for her to have that opening. That's the only thing, because I think she knows in a one-on-one fight, straight up, she's gonna lose. Mm-hmm. Like, and it's not even close. Like, I think, and I mean, when she ended up doing her double cross, it failed miserably.
Didn't go well.
What were you? Ugh. But anyways, besides the point.
Didn't go well.
No, besides the point. Like, that's the only logical sense that makes to me, is because when in episode 6, he could choose to go after the rebellion, or he could go after Obi-Wan, and he chose Obi-Wan because he thought Obi-Wan was the bigger threat in his head. Or he had something in his head that he had to prove, because now that he's all this, he thinks he can take Obi-Wan. But that would be the only logical sense to me from that standpoint, is she's needed a big enough distraction in the Force to have that opportunity of him cleared up. I don't know.
That's fair. No, that's fair. I gotta say, and I almost overlooked it. It's a good explanation on your part. I'll take that. I believe it was this episode, right, where we get some of the flashback with Obi-Wan recollecting his training sessions with Anakin,
which was beautiful.
And Anakin, Darth Vader, also reflecting on the same duel with Obi-Wan, and that was really well done. Like, I don't think that I could have told you coming into this episode or into this series that I was hoping for flashback material.
I was hoping for flashback material the entire time.
Okay, you were there. I liked that. I thought it was really well executed, and obviously these two dudes, time is what it is. They've aged between the prequels and now, but whatever digital movie making magic they had to use to de-age probably Hayden Christensen in particular, since he doesn't have the benefit of the beard to kind of hide behind. And they
also didn't really de-age him that much.
No, and I was okay with that. Like, I didn't want them to go overboard. Where they landed, I was comfortable with.
Okay.
Like, he's clearly older than he was in the prequels, but I'm not doing a side-by-side, here's my TV, here's my phone, going, okay, well, he looks, he's about 15 years older. They blew this.
That's what I did. No, I'm kidding.
I liked the restraint there, where they didn't go over the top. That still hasn't. I keep having just my PTSD is the freaking Justice League movie where they tried to digitally remove Henry Cavill's mustache. God. Still hurts. Still hurts. So I'm really okay when they say, yeah, that's far enough. Let's pull back.
I don't blame you.
So that was a great part of the episode. The Vader, we teased this a little bit. How about the Vader ship, stop, pull down, rip to shreds? Whoa.
Is this one word or two words? Badass.
That was incredible.
It was badass.
That was incredible.
So cool. They did Vader justice in the show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just his power levels. It's insane.
Agreed.
It was awesome.
Agreed.
I could have watched that over and over again.
Right, just go to the Vader scenes.
Right.
It was incredible.
And then when he fights Reva, he overwhelms her.
Oh, my.
Like, he shows off his pure power. And you can tell, the suit limits him. It would be amazing to see what would have happened if Anakin wouldn't have been torched to shreds. How crazy strong he would have been.
None of the physical limitations.
If he were agile. Holy crap. But just overwhelms her.
And I think that was a good way to help us as the audience understand, this whole scene, right? The ship pull, but then that battle, if you want to call it that, with Reva, because it was exceptionally one-sided again, helped us get a really good gauge for where Vader is in his power set. We've had a lot of... We saw that in Episode 3, where he's whooping up on the helpless citizens, and a really, really watered-down version of Obi-Wan. And for him to flex that decisively against a at-full-strength opponent that thinks they have the drop on him, oh boy. This guy is as formidable as it gets.
And he's like, I knew the whole time. He's
yep.
like, you think you just surprised me? No.
Yeah, thanks for your service. Here's the second time I've lightsabered you.
I've used you.
Also, he's 0 for 2 is Vader on Reva. 0 for 2.
We'll get to that.
0 for 2.
We'll get to that.
Yep.
And this is what I was talking about with plot armor. Okay?
Yeah, it was fun. Here's the deal. Episode 5 was a lot of fun. That reveal of Reva's origin, that was really strong. The scenes where Obi-Wan is battling with, I'm just going to call them rebels because I don't know what else to call them. Battling with the rebels, that was really strong. That was a great action sequence. The fight scene between Vader and Reva, that was great. What we got of Vader in the episode was great. So really strong episode overall. Really, really good. Now, Reva being able to piece together that transmitter.
Right?
I don't know where she it's a random transmitter. She picks it up. She hears Tatooine, his children. How does she know it's Obi-Wan's transmitter?
How does she know it's Leia's dad?
Right?
And how does she know that he's talking about... it doesn't make sense to me. At least her knowing Anakin was Vader makes sense after they flesh it out because she saw him turn into Vader. But,
I'm just going to kind of think out loud, okay? Here's maybe where it works. The kidnapping of Leia in Episode 1 was orchestrated by Reva.
Right.
Okay? So I'm going to assume that if Reva orchestrated, which she did, she orchestrated that kidnapping, that she knew who Leia's parents were.
Correct.
Okay.
Definitely knew that.
Okay, so she sees the transmitter message. She recognizes, hey, this is Leia's dad. But all she gets out of the message, so I'm tracking so far, I'm on board so far, right? But then she sees Leia's dad say, does he say Vader if Vader finds out that they're his children?
All I remember
Like,
is
where does she get, like, Owen, right? When she goes to Tatooine, she knows immediately, hey, I'm asking for Owen. Where does that intel come from?
right, because it was. Well, maybe when she interrogates that guy. No, but she asked for.
She asked for him.
Well,
though.
no, she asked for farmers.
No, she asked for a farmer named Owen.
Oh, she did
right out of the gate.
specifically ask.
Yes.
Yeah, that doesn't track because.
Yeah, I just don't think it does. I just don't think there is a well fleshed out enough explanation for. I think I can get around or get on board with, okay, she sees the transmitter, she understands that Leia's dad is referencing Darth Vader has kids. Okay. But how she gets from there to Tatooine, he says Tatooine, got it, yep. But that's it. Like, it's a freaking desert planet. How do we get from that information to Owen?
Right. Because if anything,
I don't know.
Because if anything, she would go to Tatooine waiting for Leia,
Yep.
knowing that Leia was his kid, and not knowing about Luke.
And doesn't it also beg the question of how did she know that kidnapping Leia was going to trigger Leia's parents reaching out to Obi-Wan to get him out of hiding? How'd she know that? Like, where did she get her information that... Because in my mind, someone that's pulling that kind of a long game knows that Obi-Wan and... Gosh, sorry, I got to look him up. Okay, Bail Organa, Leia's adoptive father, that they have some kind of a pre-existing relationship, that Obi-Wan... Doesn't she have to know already that Darth Vader had kids? And that Obi-Wan separated them to two different sets of families? Like, if someone's going to kidnap Leia to get Obi-Wan out of hiding, they've got to know all of that ahead of time.
She would have had a lot of insider information.
Right? Yeah.
And that doesn't make sense.
No.
The only thing...
I just don't think it does. I don't think anything that we saw or were told in this show really answers that very fundamental question of how on earth did Reva know that this was going to be effective?
The only thing that I could even think of is because it was known that Leia was adopted. Like, everyone knew that she was adopted. And the only other thing that you could maybe track is that Bail was friends with Padme and also friends with, like, Obi-Wan.
Okay.
So the Bail Obi-Wan would have that connection. So she would think, oh, if he's still alive, which he probably is, the way to do that would be to go through his friend's kid. That's the only logical...
Sure.
Because we'll take Padme out of the
because
equation.
Reva doesn't know. Like, Reva doesn't know that Leia
is the mom, or she
is
didn't know
Vader's
that Padme
daughter.
is the mom.
Right.
So take Padme out of the equation. She probably knew that Bail and Obi-Wan back in before the fall of the Republic.
Right.
Probably knew that they were close or friends, and that there had to have been some connection that she knew about prior, and that if anything bad happened to the kid, then Obi-Wan would probably be the guy that he calls.
Okay.
Probably not knowing that it would come to that.
Yeah. I'll say this. Great explanation on your part. That's incredible that you were able to come up with that much. That's really well done.
Worst case scenario is the Force.
I think for it being such a critical plot point, way too thin. Like,
why do we have to figure that out?
Correct. That needs to...
I'm just theorizing.
Right. We are just... Theorizing is the right word for it. That's something that is so foundational, so fundamental to this show, that there has to be a tangible understanding or explanation. And it wouldn't have taken that much. You don't even have to show. You can just tell. You can have Reva tell us, oh, I actually knew about Padme, that they had kids. And so when I knew that you two were connected,
but
there's
that's such a pull. That's such
agreed.
An ass pull.
Agreed. But there could have at least been that. And there wasn't even that.
You know how big of an information leak that would be? Like, if she knows, then everyone and their mother knows.
True.
So it's just like, ugh, come on, man.
Yeah.
And now to the most important episode.
Episode 6. So episode 6,
gorgeous,
finds
beautiful
Obi-Wan, Leia, and the rebels flying off the planet. They duped Vader. They had him tear down the empty jet. Not a jet, but I'm sorry. Craft.
It's
ship.
Good enough. It's good enough. We know what you're saying.
Being pursued by the Empire. It's not going well. It doesn't look like they're going to get away.
Not good at all.
Reva has landed on Tatooine and somehow knows to look for a farmer named Owen. Okay. Also, for some reason, I got to pick one more nit, and I'm going to get off the nits, and we're going to start having fun again. Also, as soon as Owen finds out from his farmer buddy who sold him out,
By the way,
hey, there's someone looking for you, Owen goes, it's cool. She's not coming till nighttime. How do you know that? Like, why is she waiting? The Inquisitors have been operating in broad daylight. When they came to Tatooine originally, it was the daytime. They had no problem pulling their lightsabers out in the daytime, but Owen's like, nighttime. We got till nighttime. Okay.
Did he get that information from her? Or did they just assume that they would try to get to the kid when they're at least... Probably when they'd think that... She'd think that their guard was down at night. Because they'd be in Betty by sleeping away.
Yeah.
And then Luke would just be in his bed for her to kill. Which, by the way, talk about a dramatic take on things. You go... I thought for sure, oh, maybe she'll, like, recruit Luke and, like, use him to take out Vader and then be like, ha, you see what I did? I used your son to kill you. Ha ha. But no, she's like, I'm going to kill this kid that he doesn't know about and just get him really jived up.
Yep.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Okay. Moving on from the picking of the nits.
I like picking nits.
Because gosh dang it. It's just like, come on. Like, how do you... Like, is Reva going around saying, I'm looking for Owen, let him know, won't be till nighttime. Not till the nightfall, okay? I'm into the darks. That's what I want. I want the dark sky, no suns. Need the nighttime. Alrighty then. Anywho. So that's going on. Obi-Wan says, hey, I've got to use the escape pod. Got to draw Vader off the trail. Okay, great. So do we know the planet that he landed on to have the face-off with Vader?
They did not say.
Did not say. Okay, I didn't recognize it from a previous movie. Wasn't
that
I was
might
supposed
be
to.
a Google.
There you go. Yeah, we're gonna need to Google that one.
I'm on it.
And they have the rematch that we've been waiting for. And I believe earlier you said best lightsaber duel in the last 15 years.
Oh, easy. You want to know the last best lightsaber duel we had, and maybe arguably the best lightsaber duel we've ever had?
Sure.
Episode 3, Obi-Wan, Anakin. It was Mustafar, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, that's number 1. Not even close. The most iconic dialogue in Star Wars history. I hate you! I have the high ground. Don't do it, Anakin. I have
There's
the
a lot
high
better
ground.
dialogue than that. There is.
By the way,
best in the prequels, maybe.
missed opportunity. Vader lowers him into that cave, and Vader's already been shown to be petty, and that guy doesn't go, I have the high ground.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Blown opportunity.
Loved the duel. Loved the blend of lightsaber skills and force powers. I thought that was glorious because you bring up the duel from episode 3 between Obi-Wan and Anakin. Excuse me. That duel was almost exclusive lightsaber to lightsaber, right? Like there wasn't much in the way of force powers being utilized during that contest. And you know what? If there was, forgive me, it's been a while since I've seen episode 3. What I will say confidently is that relative to this duel, relative to this battle, this was by far the highest amount of force powers being utilized in the midst of a lightsaber duel. Frankly, like I'm thinking more of episode 2, Riley, where Count Dooku and Yoda are having at it. And maybe there's a little bit of that now that I'm just thinking out loud. Episode 3, Yoda and Emperor Palpatine, they certainly utilized a lot of force abilities during their duel. So another good fight scene there. But this was just tremendous. This was raw, right? Like they're chucking freaking mountains at each other,
causing
huge
earthquakes,
boulders, like taking out each other's legs, going for the head.
Right.
When they had the initial force, I'm going to call it arm wrestling contest that Darth Vader won decisively.
Oh, yeah. Loved,
by the way, that he created the pit with the force. That was awesome.
That was sweet.
That was incredible.
Unique.
That was incredible. Outstanding. And then Obi-Wan tops it with, I don't know, about 50 boulders that he's lifting up via the force behind him and just machine gunning Darth Vader with those things. Just boom, 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 just peppering him.
After being buried alive.
Digs deep into the care for Leia. That's his force tap right there. That was awesome. And then slicing off half of the Vader helmet so we can finally see Hayden Christensen under the armor.
It was sweet.
Because for all of the hype of, Hayden Christensen's coming back, it's like, how do you know? It could be anybody in that suit. And that scene right there where you got to clearly recognize, hey, that's the Anakin that we saw in the prequels, that was incredibly worth it. Incredibly worth it. I still don't know if Hayden Christensen was actually the guy in the suit in any of those previous episodes, nor do I care if he was or if he wasn't. If really all they truly brought him back for was that, sweet.
It just reestablished why Obi-Wan is my favorite Jedi.
How can he not be?
Oh my god!
If he's not, you're making stuff up.
It was so cool. That whole fight was just glorious. Mm-hmm. And the way, I mean, and by the way, one of my favorite things Vader's done throughout the show is stopping lightsabers with the Force.
Jeepers.
Is that not the coolest thing ever?
That's really great.
Who needs to block it with another saber when I can
else
just
has done that.
Do it with the Force?
Yep.
Yeah, just, I don't know. It really goes to show, too, like, the differences in how they use the Force, too. Because he goes for brute strength.
Yep.
And Obi-Wan, there's a strategy and there's precision to which Force moves he's using. Right.
Darth Vader's trying to overwhelm with the sheer weight of his power, and Obi-Wan has enough. And it's a very emotional move. It's I'm ticked, I'm mad, so all I see is red. I'm just going smash.
Right.
And Obi-Wan has some passion behind it, but it's so much more well controlled and orchestrated that he's able to outmaneuver the forcefulness of Vader's just sheer might and gain the upper hand decisively. Like when he takes Vader down piece by piece, like he starts wrecking the chest piece to slow Vader down.
So cool.
Oh my goodness. That was glorious. He starts chipping away with the different force pushes and rock hits, and then it's the final blow is the saber taking out half of the mask. Awesome. Just a methodical, decisive, and complete W for our guy, Obi-Wan.
It was great.
It was incredible. And the voice layover, you mentioned this pre-pod, where we get Hayden Christensen's Anakin Skywalker voice, a little bit of the James Earl Jones mixed in. We're just cutting in and out. That was masterful. That was truly masterful. That was glorious. And on the other side of that conversation or that dialogue is Obi-Wan just distraught, hoping that there's some of his friend left to save. And there's not. Like, Obi-Wan is leaving it open, right, for Anakin to express remorse, to come back. He doesn't have a desire to kill his friend. He never did. And the devastation that he feels at having to, in some ways, relive what he experienced 10 years before on Mustafar, where he's watching Anakin just yell out, "I hate you, I hate you." It was devastating, but in a different way. This time in a way that Obi-Wan isn't going to be crippled by it, but he's come to terms with the
reality.
Unfortunate, reality of the situation that my dear friend is no more. He's been killed, essentially, by this Darth Vader. You might as well not even use the word or use the name Anakin anymore, which he doesn't, which was such a good touch when he says goodbye, Darth.
It was, yeah.
That was really well done. For all the nits we've been picking, justifiably so, that was really well done. He's not using Anakin anymore. He has come to terms with his friend Anakin is dead. What is left instead is an evil Sith Lord. That was outstanding. That was a big part of the character progression that we got to see. That was incredible. Like I'll rewatch that time and time again. So that was really well done.
Yes.
Anything else you want to say about that fight scene before we jump over to Tatooine?
We can go into his character progression after.
Yep.
So we will do that.
Yep.
So yes, Tatooine.
Okay.
Tatooine.
So Tatooine.
Back to the desert planet for the 40 bajillionth time in Star Wars.
It's nighttime, so Reva is at the farm. And
it's really hot outside. There's 2 suns. She has to wait for them.
I guess. Gird bless it. And Joel Edgerton, bless you for coming back just to get your butt kicked, buddy. Still good to see you.
Held his own.
Yeah.
For what he could do.
He did all right. He did all right there.
I really liked his character in this.
Agreed. Joel brought more to that character than most could have. So kudos to you, Joel. Aunt Beru, I was impressed by her. She's doing everything she can. Obviously, they can't hold up. Young Luke is forced to go on the run. Reva, not unexpectedly, corners him, knocks him out, and before she can strike the killing blow, she has her own PTSD, her own flashbacks and she's seeing herself right in Luke's body, and the goal that she has at this point is to try and inflict, and here's where it's really irrational on her part, right? Her thought process is, hey, if I kill Darth Vader's son, I will have avenged or brought the scales to balance for his act of attempting to kill me and killing all my friends. Vader doesn't even know that's his kid.
Right.
Doesn't even know that's his kid. It is the emptiest for a lot of reasons, but that being perhaps chief amongst them, is the emptiest effort at some kind of a vengeful act. Like, the lack of rational thought here, it's like, dude,
and
he's not, no.
And if you're going to bring balance, wouldn't you kill more than one kid?
Right?
Like, kill 12 of them.
Right? But as dark and as unwelcome as that is, correct. You would have to kill hundreds, which we're not advocating for. Please don't do that.
We aren't?
To be clear, we are not. We are not.
We aren't.
And so, anyway, she doesn't. Obi-Wan's racing back to Tatooine, not going to arrive in time to be able to intervene. But Reva, she's the blade, brings Luke back to Owen and Beru, and then has a little heart-to-heart with Obi-Wan. And here's the best part of the whole doggone show for her character, is she's this former Jedi youngling who, as far as we know, transitioned over to the dark side and was going to stay there, and now she has an opportunity for a redemption arc. I'm on board with that. All right, that gives her character so much more purpose than anything else that had happened in this show had done. Unfortunately, I just don't think her character was done very well. I think there were pieces that could have led to something really, really worthwhile. But as far as the main characters of this show are concerned, hers was just, and again, it's not the actress's fault. It just wasn't written. She just didn't seem like she was allowed to do much more than just be ticked off. And
she finally showed a second emotion, and it was the last
remorse
minute of her character.
Yep. Yeah. So I think that actress in that role, I would like to see more of her in spite of all the one note that we got in this previous show. So I say more of her, not with her own show,
I'm not ready
to
for
that
either.
extent, but if you want to pair her up with Obi-Wan, soften her up a little bit, pair her up with Obi-Wan, and they're going out in the galaxy together trying to do some good in a second season, okay.
See, I don't even want her in that.
I'd watch her in that.
See,
I would.
What I would watch her in is if it was a show just focused on the Inquisitors.
Okay.
And they're going after her.
Okay.
That would be the premise that I would want to see. Or they do it a prequel and they show her as a part of the Inquisitors. Whatever. That is what the capacity that I would want to see it as.
Yep. Okay.
Other than that, I'm kind of like, I don't want you with Obi. Let Obi be with Obi.
There you go.
Let Obi bring, here's a thought, okay? We have a buddy cop movie. It's Obi-Wan and Force Ghost Liam, okay? And it's just, and no one else can see Liam except Obi-Wan, and it would just be
this guy's crazy.
This
guy's nuts.
Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. If that happens, I pitched it.
Tell
right
you what,
here.
you're the first one to say it. Give you your royalties right now. Incredible. Okay, so there's Reva. Obi-Wan has a really sweet moment where he is able to meet Luke. Mm-hmm. And we get the hello there line.
Hello there.
Outstanding stuff. Outstanding nod to their introduction to each other in episode 4. Loved that. Enjoyed the little bit of dialogue that we got between Obi-Wan and Uncle Owen. Enjoyed that Obi-Wan was back in the white robes with the tall brown boots. Love that. Great look. Still looks good.
Oh, God.
Really like that.
Such a beautiful man.
Really like that.
Space Jesus has returned.
And we get Qui-Gon. He shows up. Our guy Liam
it's
Neeson.
Liam Neeson.
God bless you, buddy.
I don't know who you are.
That's fantastic.
What you've
Fantastic.
done.
I think they held on to that a little too long. I would have
For real, though?
really desired to have seen that earlier in the show. I understand, and I will not just understand, but I will even go so far as to say I agree with what you did. I wanted to see it sooner for my own personal satisfaction, but you probably did the right thing holding on to the Qui-Gon reveal until the very end of the show.
Yes.
Probably did.
It makes the most sense because...
The character progression, right?
Right.
Yep, no doubt. So for as much as I would have enjoyed more of Liam, at the very least sooner, hey, you did that right. No arguments here other than pure selfishness on my part.
Right.
We
Same
also
here.
get a little bit of Darth Vader interacting with Emperor Palpatine. How sold were you with that dialogue between those two, as far as it being a convincing argument made by Palpatine to have Vader get off the Obi-Wan, I have to hunt him down and kill him train? Like, it seemed a little too easy where Palpatine was able to say, hey, you know what, let's let that guy go. And Vader was just like, yeah, you're right, bud. You're right. It seemed like he agreed with Emperor Palpatine a little too easily, a little too quickly.
I don't think he really agreed with him anyways. I think Vader's going to go off and do whatever Vader wants.
Fair.
Like, if there's a season 2, it's going to
So
be...
in other words, he's saying the right thing, but what he's feeling is, Matt, screw you.
The Sith betray each other all the time. He's a liar. He's lying.
Yeah.
You think he's going to forget about Obi? No. Obi-Wan kicked his ass for the second time in 10 years. Okay? And the second time, I mean, both times are close, but I mean, he's still...
He's up 2-1. Obi-Wan's up 2-1. Vader got the 1 on him, but...
He torched you, bro.
Quite
literally the first
torched
time.
you.
And the second time, he took out the ventilator. Mm-hmm. He gave you your asthma back. Let's talk about that. He's like, asthma boy. And then... And then he took off part of your scary helmet and made you look like a weak little baby.
Mm.
So yeah, no, he did not drop that. He's petty. No, he's coming back.
I like that take.
4 or 5 or
I like
whatever.
that take.
So
Yeah, because I wasn't buying it.
Palpatine probably thinks that too. Palpatine probably knows he's not dropping that.
Sure.
Be like, oh, we should drop it.
Yeah,
And then be
too
like,
easy.
And then,
Too easy.
no way.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right.
No doubt. Okay, like that. So that was episode 6. Oh, Leia, I'm sorry. Leia gets reunited. I'm backtracking. So I'm off the timeline here a little bit. Obi-Wan shares. This is a really great piece. Glad I remembered this. Obi-Wan shares with Leia what he can, doesn't give names, but shares with her what he can about the qualities that he sees in her and where he believes they came from her biological parents. And that was really, really well written.
Right.
That was really strong.
I
and
think
a great conclusion to their character arc with one another.
I think having the Skywalker kids involved in the story like they were,
Yep.
I think it just goes to show how important and how deeply connected Obi-Wan Kenobi is as a Star Wars character to the entire prequels and original trilogy. Like, he is the glue, essentially.
Yeah, so let's get into it. Let's go big picture. Those are our episode recaps. Let's
Right.
go big picture. So continue on your thread here.
Like, I don't know what else I want to say to that.
He's critical.
He is super
He's
critical.
very critical.
Like, he pretty much saw the start
Yeah.
of Anakin,
Yep.
watched him become Vader,
Yep.
watched him, defeated him before he could become a Sith, then finds out, oh, I didn't finish the job that I thought I finished.
Right.
And then to be like, okay, well, now that he's out there, these kids are going to have targets on their backs, takes care of the kids, is an actual important pieces in their lives because he saved Leia and he watches over Luke, although Luke doesn't probably fully understand Obi-Wan's role. But he starts to have a relationship with Luke, already has a pre-established relationship with Leia, which goes to show in episode 4 why she calls out to him, which makes way more sense.
You bet.
And then he puts Luke on the path to beat Vader. Like, he realized, hey, it's not going to be me. I can't be the one to do it. It's going to have to be somebody else. And for him to basically kickstart Luke's journey into the originals, like, yeah, he's such a key piece.
Well, and to show the restraint by episode 6, where with episode 1, he's trying to convince, and by him, I mean Obi-Wan's trying to convince Owen that, hey, I need to be able to train Luke as a Jedi, and now he's showing restraint in episode 6 with pulling completely back from that desire, saying, no, let him be a boy. Let him have his childhood free from this war that is going on, that has gone on, and that will eventually impact him. But for now, let him have a childhood that Anakin didn't get to have, right? Because Luke is at a really similar age. I don't know, without Googling, if it's the identical age at which Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon encountered Anakin for the first time and brought him into the Jedi fold. But that is a significant piece of character progression that was important, and I don't think I really realized that until just now during our discussion. That was a really critical thread to come back to and tie off. That, hey, remember Obi-Wan way back in episode 1 wanted to train Luke up to be a Jedi. Yeah, we got to come back to that. Nope, not a thing. That was well orchestrated and really well done. I think overall, Riley, maybe the best thing or the best compliment that I can pay this show is that it adds value to the prequels, and I think it adds value to the original trilogy also. I don't think that it had to exist. I view it in a really similar light right now to Rogue One.
Right.
That was very good, added value, again, to what came before, primarily what would come after. And if it didn't exist, like, those films, those respective trilogies would still stand on their own merits just fine. But I think that this was a story worth telling, a story worth exploring, because it makes what took place in the prequels, I think, stronger, and it allows us to better appreciate and understand what ends up taking place with Obi-Wan in particular as a character, but also with Leia. Like, that was such a surprise. I mean, we come back to the marketing that we discussed during our episodes 1 and 2 recap. We didn't know Leia was in the freaking show.
Right.
So for her to not just be in the show, but
and
to be
pop
the
her in the
primary,
first episode.
right? But to be the primary, not protagonist, but companion character, along with Obi-Wan, that was really well done. That was such a strong move that it allowed all the other nits that we've picked, which are still real, they still exist. I think it was such a strong insertion of that character that it allows those nits to exist but not overwhelm the good qualities of the show.
Right.
Like that was outstanding. I loved and had no clue that was something I would want to see or enjoy, but that was outstanding.
Right. And I feel like for it to qualify as a Star Wars show or a Star Wars movie, there have to be nits to pick. Right?
At this point, yeah.
Right. Like that's just a key component of a Star Wars film or show. Like there's gonna be stuff that doesn't make sense or irritates you just a little bit. But like, yeah. I mean, we did get a young Luke too, because at one point I was like, I don't think we're gonna get a young Luke, and I'm okay with that. And then he had his one episode,
right,
which is fine. But like, I don't know. I think just the character progression of Obi-Wan throughout this entire show was just so well done, and the fact that he goes from a man that lost all complete faith in what he did for most of his entire life, doesn't touch the Force.
Yep.
He's like, being a Jedi, I can't be who I was.
Right, he's actively rejecting that. He's actively pushing against it, not just neglecting, but just pushing back against it.
And coming to this realization that he's like, this is not all my fault.
Yep.
Like, I did everything I could in my power. Now, what people need are me at my power. Mm-hmm. Like, now is the time where we do need Jedi.
Yep.
He's like, they need me now.
Yep.
They need Obi-Wan. They don't need Ben.
Yep.
And for him to, like, it pretty much just goes off at the end of this to be like, he's probably going to go find out more about the Jedi and himself. And I don't know. It just feels like we got Obi-Wan back.
It does. It does. It was great. It was great for what it primarily needed to be, which was us as Star Wars fans getting to spend, some quality time with Obi-Wan and to see him, I'm glad we didn't linger too long in the Obi-Wan powered down realm.
Oh, thank God.
Right? By episode 4, he's got his mojo back, so we see Obi-Wan flexing in episodes 4, 5, and 6. 5 and 6 in particular. That was great. That was really, really great. Again, plenty of flaws in the show. It's not perfect, but to your point, that's almost part of the Star Wars legacy at this point is, no kidding, it wasn't perfect. So what would you like to see moving forward? Because the way this concluded, they could very easily pick one of two paths. They could either say, we did what we set out to do, we're done, and that would be satisfying enough. Or they could run it back because there's a lot unexplored with Obi-Wan. I think there's more that we could see with him. There's more for him to do between now and, 15 years down the road to when he's now the old hermit that encounters Luke Skywalker. So there's plenty of time that we could still spend with Obi-Wan. The Inquisitors, we got very little of. Strong tease, but very little actual taste and time with. I don't know. On the Darth Vader side, do we want to see more of him? Yes, but what would he be doing? I don't know. I think there's more they could do if they wanted to. What do you think?
I think first of all, I just want to say I'm perfectly fine with them leaving off where it is. Mm-hmm. I think they set out to do what they wanted to do. If they were going to do anything out of this, I almost want to just have Vader and Obi-Wan be separate for a little while. Like, I want them to focus on something else, whether it be Darth Maul, which I don't know how Rebels goes with Maul. I know the ending for Maul, but I don't know the in-betweens.
Sure.
And they kind of showed Maul's influence in the Solo movie.
Sure.
Was still around. So I think that would be something that they could explore.
Gotcha.
Especially because they have such a fun history between the two of them.
Yep.
Or like...
Best friends, I think, right?
Right. And then having them, not even him and Maul, but maybe having the Inquisitor still on the hunt for Obi-Wan. That would be something to explore. But like, I think I'm done with him. I think I'm done with him and Vader for now. And
agreed. I think that needs to be...
You have to be careful with Vader.
Yeah.
And then for me as well, like...
You could maybe have Vader doing some solo things, but I totally agree. I think they need to not be interacting. I think that if you bring them back into each other's path, I think all that does is damage what you've accomplished already.
Right.
Yep.
And so if I want to see Obi-Wan again, and I think the best promising part of that would be we would definitely get him exploring more of the Force with Qui-Gon.
Yep.
And they aren't afraid to go off Tatooine with him.
Yep.
And it seems like he is okay with leaving Luke by himself for a little while.
Yep.
Two promising things, because I do not want another story on Tatooine. I don't. You
Yep.
can go to Tatooine, but I don't want you to stay on Tatooine. There's too much of the desert.
Yep.
So, like, even that planet they fought on was amazing and cool. But if we were to get Vader, I would rather just have a Vader show.
Yep.
Don't have Obi-Wan in it. Have Vader, like, where it is in the comics, where it's Vader hunting the Jedi. Just have him go off.
Yep.
Have him brutally murdering them. Maybe show him running the Inquisitors.
Yep.
And having them, do that if you're going to bring Vader in. Okay?
Yep.
And guess what? Have Hayden Christensen be in the suit. Keep him in the suit. I think that's great because you can take that advantage where you have maybe those flashbacks or you have those like... What I wanted was more Vader inner dialogue, and we didn't really get that to that extent.
Sure.
Like it would have been fun for me for him to have that battle between Anakin and Vader in his head.
Yep.
That tug. Because there's a tug there. Maybe not right now, because he said Vader killed Anakin, but we all know Vader didn't kill Anakin. Vader left a little of Anakin left.
Yeah. Right.
So that is what I would like to see from a Vader perspective. I think I'm okay with them not crossing paths for a while.
Yeah, I think they really need to not cross paths ever again. I think I think that needs to be it until episode 4. I really do. Yeah, I'll be fascinated to see how it plays out. Without question, there's going to be branch off shows that come out of this series. The Inquisitors are probably the most likely. Sure seems like they want to do more with Reva, and that's fine. But I think for me, the biggest piece is what I'm satisfied, what I'm happy about is I can include this in years from now when I get to rewatch all these movies with my kids. Right, I get to include this as part of that experience.
Right.
Like, still to be determined, will we watch the originals first or the prequels first? Either way, wherever this winds up, whether we go chronologically in terms of how the story progresses or how the movies and shows are released, this is going to be in there because it's a worthy inclusion into that pantheon, into that story. Imperfect though it is, it does enough right to be worthwhile and to be enjoyed, right? Just like we said very early in this episode, adjust your expectations. If you're expecting perfect, boy, you're going to find it hard to be pleased or enjoy something. But if you're willing to, you don't have to blind yourself to the nits. I don't think we're blinding ourselves to any of the very obvious nits. We're going, that's dumb. Don't do it that way. But I think we're in a healthy spot, able to still observe and identify the flaws and enjoy it for what it is, which is it's entertaining. It's a great story.
And they definitely did Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen justice.
No doubt.
And the fact that those two are up for coming back for those roles should be enough to be like, okay, I'm ready for more.
Yeah. And and Hayden he wasn't impressive as an actor in the prequels. And I wonder now, seeing Reva in this in this show, it reminds me an awful lot of what Hayden was asked to do as Anakin in episodes 2 and 3. Like, where I wonder if could they have given him like more room.
I don't know. I don't know. I think
that's a question that has no real answer.
I think with the flashback, they really did Anakin justice.
Yep.
Because you could see that he had that pull from the get-go of light side, dark side, light side, dark side.
Yep.
So, and I think I'm okay with his performance in 3. I don't think the dialogue was in his favor in 2.
No, it was not. No,
and that's on George Lucas.
Yep.
Till the day I die.
Yep.
Okay?
No question.
But the angst that Anakin had, I thought he did really well with. Because Anakin's, like, you're supposed to have that, okay, this guy, you can clearly see why he turned.
Yep.
Because he hated sand so much that it was just too much for him to deal with anymore.
No more desert. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, any final thoughts, Riles?
I love you, Ewan. Thank you so much.
No doubt. Yeah.
That's all I got.
Great, thanks.
So,
well, that's a hearty time of chatting about our guy Obi-Wan.
One topic.
How about that?
For an hour and 20 minutes.
Ewan's worth it.
We nailed it. He's
worth it.
Absolutely worth it.
He's absolutely worth it. No question. Glad we had that experience. What a great thing. What a great thing.
So, should we wrap?
Let's do.
On that note, catch us on
all the social media
on YouTube and Facebook at JP and the Beanstalk. You're listening to us, so obviously you found one of our podcast streams.
Love that.
We're everywhere.
Love that.
We're podcast streams.
My goodness.
If you want to catch little highlights / clips, check us out on Instagram at JP and the Beanstalk or at TikTok on the Magic Beans Productions, where we also show clips from our other podcast, and by other I mean my other one, at Cloudy with a Chance of Beans.
Love it.
On that note, Godspeed.
Peace.